Have you ever felt like you don't fully belong anywhere? Like you're not too old, but not exactly young either. You understand the past, but you're expected to live in the future. If that feeling sounds familiar, you might be part of a forgotten generation, a group of people who exist quietly between two worlds. They are called Xennials. Born roughly between 1976 and 1985, Xennials grew up in a time that feels almost unreal today. A time before constant notifications, before social media, before the internet shaped how we think. They played outside until the streetlights came on. They memorized phone numbers. They waited patiently for things. But then, everything changed. As they entered adulthood, the world transformed almost overnight. Suddenly, everything became digital, fast, connected, overwhelming, and unlike older generations, they had no choice but to adapt. So they did. They learned computers. They understood the internet. They adjusted to smartphones, emails, and social media. But here's the problem. They didn't grow up with it, which means they see the world differently. Xennials are often described as in-betweeners, not quite Generation X, not fully millennials. They stand in the middle, and sometimes that middle feels very lonely. They value independence because they were raised to rely on themselves. No instant answers, no quick solutions, just trial, error, and patience. But today's world doesn't reward patience, it rewards speed, and that creates a silent conflict inside them. They remember a slower, simpler life, but they live in a fast, complicated one. They trust real experiences more than online opinions. They question trends instead of following them. They don't easily believe what they see on social media, because deep down, they know how different reality used to be. Yet, at the same time, they still use these platforms every day. Scrolling, watching, adapting, even when it feels exhausting. This creates a strange contradiction. They crave simplicity, but are surrounded by endless complexity. They want peace, but live in constant noise. And over time, this leads to something many Xennials feel, but rarely talk about. Emotional exhaustion, not the loud kind, not the dramatic kind, but a quiet, constant feeling of being mentally drained, because they are always adjusting, always balancing between who they were and who the world expects them to be. And perhaps the hardest part, they don't fully relate to anyone. They're too independent for younger generations, too adaptable for older ones. They don't completely fit into either group, which makes them feel out of place, like observers in a world they helped build, but don't fully belong to. Their childhood values don't always match modern society. They believe in effort, in patience, in earning things over time. But today's culture often celebrates speed, visibility, and instant success. And while they understand this new system, it doesn't always feel right to them. Still, they keep going, quietly adapting, quietly supporting, quietly bridging the gap between generations. Because that's what they are, a bridge between the past and the future. They understand both sides. They remember how things used to be, and they know how things work now. But here's the truth about bridges. They are important. They connect everything. Yet, they are rarely noticed, rarely appreciated, and often taken for granted. Xennials carry something unique. They carry nostalgia for a world that no longer exists, and pressure to keep up with a world that never slows down. That combination isn't easy, but it gives them something powerful: perspective. They know what life feels like, without constant distraction. They understand the value of real moments, and in a world that is always rushing forward, that kind of awareness is rare. So maybe feeling out of place isn't a weakness. Maybe it means you see things others don't. Maybe it means you understand more than one reality. And maybe that's exactly where your strength comes from. Because in a divided world, the people who understand both sides are the ones who matter the most. So if you've ever felt like you don't quite fit in, maybe you're not lost. Maybe You're just a Xennial.